Yeah?
Yes, we can.
Yes, okay. A very good evening, Brother Joe, and all brothers and sisters. Uh, Welcome to this evening's discussion on the weekly Wondrous Sutra. I am Sister Moon from Malaysia, and I will be your moderator for tonight. We are happy to have with us 4 brothers and sisters to share their favorite episodes with all of us here. Before we go on, however, I understand that for tonight, Brother Joe has really made a very huge effort to make it. And we are extremely grateful for your effort in trying to be with us tonight. So on behalf of everybody, I would like to start the session with a very big kangen to you, Brother Joe. I need to go to the next slide, right? Our first sharer is Sister Boey. I would like to do a small little introduction on Sister Boey before we move on. Sister Boey is rather interesting because she is actually English educated. And in her area, she is actually surrounded by all Chinese educated brothers and sisters. Initially, she was finding it really quite tough, but because all the brothers and sisters are so, giving her so much encouragement, and so she was determined to stay on. And now with the English group bigger and bigger, she is more and more at ease and is enjoying the morning Sing Fa Xiang and sharing. Sister Boey has chosen episode 703. Giving is the study ship offering deliverance. We see the suffering of poverty is deep and vast like the sea. Giving is like a study ship that can deliver those in the sea of poverty. When great compassion cries, heart's field is a great field of blessing. When we give, though we seek nothing in return, we obtain great blessings for ourselves. Right? I would like to invite Sister Boey now to do your sharing.
Good evening, and Canon Sister Moon, for giving me this opportunity to share this evening. And good evening to Brother Joe, and good evening to all brothers and sisters here. My episode tonight is 703. That is giving. Giving is the study ship of offering deliverance. Actually, from here, I see our master. I really admire Master for her compassionate and kind loving heart. That I take this study ship as Master is the study ship. And that is, she is bringing us all the Tzu Chi volunteers through sailing through the turbulent, stormy seas to go all parts of the world to bring relief to all these unimpoverished people and relieve them of their hardships and sufferings. Actually, no act of giving is small. A single act of selfless giving can exhaust a lifetime of tribulation. Tonight I'm going to give Sister the next slide. Can I? Thank you, Sister. Tonight I'm going to just tell a small story of my monthly donor whom I haven't met before. Actually, he was given to me by my mentor in the year 2019 because at that time I'm supposed to be going to Beijing and I have not enough members. So he was given me to be added into my membership. So I came to know him through only phone, and because I only got his telephone number, and when I wanted to show him the receipt that I have to send to him, and he was very kind, and he said, I don't have to visit him because he's working, and he told me that every month he will bank in his money to the bank and pass it to us. But really, he's really, in fact, very kind, and every month, without fail, he's very punctual. The first few days, he will send me the pay slip. He showed me the pay slips, and then I will send him also a copy of the receipt through my WhatsApp. Then he's such a kind-hearted person. Actually, he only gave me about 3 months, $5, and suddenly he gave me another $10. He gave me $10 for the fifth month, the fourth month. I was thinking he must have given me for 2 months. When I rang him, he told me that it's meant for his he is increasing it to $10 per month. So I really commend him for his kindness. And it goes on until we only we only will speak to one another through the WhatsApp voicemail, because I can't read. When he send me anything, I can't read the characters, neither can I write it to him. So I only will voicemail him, and he will also in return voicemail me. That is and it passed on like this. And sometimes he have anything doubts, he will also talk to me. And especially last year when it started the COVID, he couldn't go out to eat, you see. So he was complaining about his meal, eating the same meat every day. And in fact, I did encourage him to take vegetarian food, but he is not interested yet. He said without meat, he is unable to have strength to go to work. So I just accept it and just let him go like this. But suddenly in the middle of this month, last month, he suddenly sent me a photo, a patient lying in the hospital with a rubber tube piercing through his nose. I was so surprised. I didn't know who he is, so I didn't care. I didn't even ask him. But after a day, the next day, he sent me a WhatsApp with a voice. He's saying that he's so lonely in the hospital with nobody, and then nobody to care for. But then all of a sudden, I heard him calling for help. He said he needs somebody to support him, and then the line was off. But I was at that time I was very, I don't know what to do. I tried to phone him, but no, he couldn't answer my call. So I waited until the next morning, until I WhatsApped him through my voicemail. I WhatsApped him, and then the next morning he replied that he was in the hospital, and he sent me a video that he has his needles all poking his hand, his face, his head, and all that. I think he's on acupuncture. So he was telling me that the doctors was giving him a lot of questions, asking him, and he doesn't know what to answer them. But then in the end, he found out that he in fact has got a stroke. So he was given to do exercise, and he was very diligent in doing his exercise. And each time every day, no matter how, he will send me either a video of his food and all that. So I only can give him my ears to listen to him, and then give him some comforting words. Sorry, sister, I forgot about the slides. So I will only tell him when he complains of anything. I will just try to console him and ask him, should he not know anything, he can just go for the doctors, because at this time nobody can go to the hospital. So then he can make use of the nurses and the people around there to ask them for any assistance, you see. So he's very good. He did it, and every day he will send me the thing, and even his eating his pills, the tablets that he's taking, and the injection he's not taking, he will just tell me, and then I think he feels more comfortable telling me, and I'll be able to answer him. So until end of last month, he's WhatsApped me and told me that the doctors discharged him and only gave him healthy supplements to take, and he's not at home. I do phone him, I do WhatsApp him, and this time he never sent me anything because he's at home. I think he has people around now. So he didn't ask, he just only tell me that he's already at home. And I phoned and I asked him once in a while, I will ask his condition. And he told me he's now doing his acupuncture. He had people going to his house. And then I asked him when will he has to go back to the hospital. He said he will go to the hospital a month later. So I hope we can do something for him. I told my mentor about his condition, and my mentor brother-in-law, home brother, told me that when he's free, he will bring me out, maybe pay him a visit to find how is his condition. And I hope and I pray that he will be well soon. And he's very positive too. He told me that although his hands cannot move, he knows it's not easy. It's not one day it can be cured. He said maybe it might take him a month or a year or so, but he is also very hopeful. And I'm very pleased to hear that he's happy and he can take that this what and he never expect anything from us, you see. So he never has any expectation from us, and that he is actually creating the field of blessings for himself. And for me, I'm happy that at least I have given some help to him, to give him some comforts. And during his time when he's so lonely in the hospital, and he's able to know that someone is there to care for him and also concerning him. So I think that is my sharing. And I have today also the two aphorisms that I'm going to say is, giving is not the privilege of the rich, it is the privilege of the sincere. That is my aphorism for today. Cảm ơn.
Thank you. Thank you, Sister Boey. Perhaps we can ask Brother Joe to take some comments on Sister Boey's sharing.
Thank you, Sister Moon and Sister Boey. That was it was a very good sharing. And I'm sure you only have enough time to share a very little bit of what you have done. I'm sure you have done a lot more than what you have shared, because from what you said, the interaction must go on for far more than the details that you were given to us, because you're very humble. I could tell that you're very humble, and probably you did 10, and then you only told us, oh, I only did this and this, because I can feel that this particular person that you visited, that you have you visited? Not yet, right?
Not yet.
Okay. See, not yet visited, yet you were able to provide such reliable dependent. You're someone that she depends on, right? And there must be more than, oh, I just call her, I just tell her. It's more than that. And I think this is what giving is. If you recall that there are different kinds of giving, right? There's a giving of Dharma, there's a giving of material, and then there's a giving of fearlessness. And that's what you are giving him. That's what you're giving her. That the fact that she's alone in the hospital, But when she was afraid, or with needles, or with all the, the medication and all of that, when she was alone, you were there, even though you were not physically there, but you were there. And I think that was a very special thing that you did, which was to just be there. And then you were advising her also to express what she needed to the doctors. You were helping her. And I think it takes more bridge building than what you're sharing today. But I could see the fruit of your hard work. And I think this is the sign of compassion, the sign that you really care from someone who you don't know, and then you ended up caring for them when her family couldn't do so. Okay, so I really wish that the day that you went to see her will come soon, that your home brother will take you, and then show us the picture when you two finally meet. And I would like to, and may I ask, why was it that the family member weren't there? Was it because they can't visit?
Yeah, because I think I understand from him last time during the COVID time, he said he got an elderly mother who cannot walk, and also got a brother, I think got health issue. He's not working. So I think he's the only one working, maybe 3 in the family. I didn't ask him so much because he's just our donor, you see. So I then asked him too many questions.
I see. So I wonder if now that he's back home, and it seems to be that he's recovered some, right?
Yes.
Resume working.
Yes.
Okay, because he seems to be the only source of income in the family.
So. Maybe.
And so perhaps now that we know, perhaps it's also possible to see if his family needed care, especially now that you know.
Yes.
If he goes into hospital again, maybe his family needed some care too. So all these things all this comes from the very initial seed where you didn't have enough donor and someone just gave you. And so from there, this is not just a donor, right? This now becomes someone who you have interacted with. And hopefully one day you get to see him. And then one day you get to see his family, the elder mom, and also the brother. And hopefully they all get to become your member, right? So thank you so much. I think to be able to share a story like this, I think you should take more opportunity to share, because it is very uplifting and it is very heartfelt to be able to see how people's interaction can be so real and genuine and so kind. Okay, even though if you imagine that he seems to be in the financially needed help, right? In terms of he had to provide for his mom and his brother at home, and yet he was still donating, right? And so I think it's something that we could do more to help his family, or to do more to get to know his family, and maybe make them into our someone that we can help too. So thank you, Sister Boey. I think that was wonderful, very uplifting. Thank you. You're very kind.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Brother Joe. Thank you, Sister Boey. You do have a very giving nature anyway, right? Right, our next sharer will be Brother David. Brother David, you will want to take over the screen, right?
Yes, correct, Sister Moon.
No, sorry.
Okay. All right, thank you, Sister Moon. Good evening, Brother Joe, fellow brothers and sisters.
Brother David, hold a second.
All right.
I'd like to introduce you a little bit, yeah?
Okay.
Right, Brother David, actually, Brother David's first connection to Tzu Chi was through this parent-child bonding class in 2018. And then he has been progressing to GNC, and I think in 2021, Peijun, right?
Yes.
Am I right? And And I personally, I must admit that personally, I do not know Brother David well. And so I have to ask around from the sisters and say, tell me about Brother David. And the list of positives runs so long. Supportive, an enabler, accommodative, friendly, helps in everything, never says no. You know, whenever possible, he's there, expending his time, and so on. So our good brother David has graciously consented to share tonight, episode 683, Free Yourself from Habitual Tendencies. And I will listen to you after tonight. I will free myself from habitual tendencies. The Buddha taught patience to enable us to be free from anger, taught diligence to enable us to be replete with all merits and virtues, taught samadhi to enable us to put a stop to discursive thoughts, and taught wisdom to enable us to let go of all afflictions. Tell us, Brother David.
Thank you, Sister Moon. Wow, all the positive feedback. All right. Yes. Today I'm sharing on episode 683. Free yourself from habitual tendencies. All right. Okay. Now, in this video, Master Sangren mentioned that in our mind there is so much ignorance and afflictions. Right. This can be broken down into three major categories: anger, greed, and ignorance. Now, hence Buddha taught us patience. When faced with difficult situations, we should stop and think before we react. Think why a person acted as such, or why we are in a particular situation. Because in our mind, most of the time, we just want to respond immediately without much thinking. And do not be petty. Otherwise, isn't it tiring that we want to be calculative in everything that happens in our life? Next is diligence. Besides patience, when we practice diligence, we can understand clearly and realize what is right and wrong. There is no need to take issue with others. In this aspect, we free our hearts and minds from bad thoughts, create positivity, and even form good affinity with others. In samadhi, we can achieve mind stability and mental consciousness. We learn not to jump to conclusions and carelessness. Our mind will not scatter or wander, and we will be focused in our mental state. Finally, once we have wisdom, we are calm and collected in many situations. We avoid giving rise to afflictions and not let it disturb and cloud our mind. So think about it. If we are in anger and goes into an argument, we react rashly, we spit out harsh words, we won't bring up irrelevant subjects. And worst of all, we are hurtful to the person, especially if the person is someone we care and love, and so on and so forth. Under such circumstance, we may win the argument, but we lost the relationship. We create sorrow and hurt, dissatisfaction, resentment, and the person may even be vengeful, and etc. And hence, the cycle will not end. And in most cases, when we think back about it, we ourselves won't be happy and regret of our actions. Therefore, we must cultivate goodness, empower and strengthen our good habitual tendencies, and eliminate the bad tendencies. In addition, Master always teaches us to be mindful. When we are mindful, we learn to be understanding and forgiving. With this, we will be grateful that it helps us to understand the challenges and human nature. and thus our wisdom will grow. Put it in our hearts to transform our minds, eliminate our afflictions, and grow in wisdom. So before I end, I want to thank Sister Moon, Sister YY, and Sister Lily for their persistence and the confidence for me to do this sharing. Initially, I was skeptical and nervous. Also, I did not specifically chose this episode, but this number 683 just came to my mind, and I just blurted it out to Sister Moon. until I watched this episode that I knew it was on habitual tendencies, which kind of relate to my situation initially when Sister Moon approached me for this sharing. So thank you, sisters, for the encouragement and for this wonderful opportunity. And thank you, brothers and sisters, for listening. That's my sharing, Brother Joe. I hope you can give your comments and advice. Kanan.
Yeah, that's wonderful. The episode, you didn't choose the episode came to you.
Yes.
What a wonderful thing, isn't it? Brother Joe, what do you say?
Well, I think just like what I said to Sister Boey, I think Brother David is very kind, and I'm very happy, and I'm very pleasantly surprised by Sister Moon's initiative to introduce Brother David, even though he had started his slides already. But no, she had to stop him and said, "No, I had to. Why? Because she did the work, right? So you have to let her explain." And I think the process, as I mentioned, it was a pleasant surprise, because you could tell that for a person who doesn't know another one, to get to know a person, you begin to ask around. And I think that is what Master taught us, right? To look with your eyes, to listen with your ears, and to go and to feel and to touch and to feel. And that's what Sister Moon did, is to go around to understand, who Brother David is. And that really what we have come in contact with is endless, very pleasant and supportive, kind, and all these essentially pointed to a brother who will not say no, right? Who would never say no to anybody. And therefore, how could he say no to this episode? What, 683? Oh, so he couldn't say no to this episode when an episode came to him too. So I think what you said was true. Now, coming to the content, I do feel that in the last page that you have a cycle, right? You have a circle, and you started with mindfulness. And I think this is a very interesting page where I really like the 5 words that you put on here. Now, I'm sure if you ask anyone to rearrange it, everyone will probably come up with a different arrangement of this circle. For example, if you're mindful, do you always come to an understanding? You might. But if you're mindful, you could be grateful next. If you're mindful, you could be forgiving already. So all these 5 words, they mark the different steps and to reach this wisdom. It starts with being mindful, just like what Sister Moon did. She started by being mindful of what she hears and sees and gets from others. And then she began to know who you are, to understand who Brother David is. And not so much forgiving, but more for understanding, and then willing to work with you, willing to cooperate, and then being grateful that we are able to have this opportunity together. And then Brother David sharing his wisdom with us. I think this cycle has a lot of the attributes that we need. and what this world needs too. So it's not just for the removal of the habitual tendency. That sounds so passive, but it's more for the promoting, the promotion of the kindness and the goodness of the society. If everybody would just be mindful, whether you jump to wisdom, or you jump to gratefulness, or you jump to forgiving, or you jump to understanding, I think it's all the same. And I think one last thing I wanted to say is when I hear Brother David, I think one of the very important attributes is kindness in the heart. In Chinese, it's often related to soft, your heart is soft. But I think it's very important because when your heart is soft, you're able to take in more. If your heart is hard, then even though there are these very tear-jerking stories, you won't cry, you won't shed any tears. And I have very strong personal experience with that. The other day, I was hearing some of the volunteers sharing their stories when they were on the front lines to treat and care for the people, the passengers of the train that ran into the accident. But at that time, at first, I was very touched. And then somebody sent me a message to which my reaction was harsh. My reaction was harsh. I didn't like it. I was not happy with it. And I had a lot of negative emotions. From that point on, all the things that the volunteers, all the others said, I remember they were crying. I remember that they were very sad and filled with sorrow. And at first, I would cry with them. Later on the second part, after I got that message, my heart became very hard. And it's not that they weren't sad, it's that I couldn't feel with them. And so I don't know if that was not being mindful, but I knew that my heart was rock hard. It was not ready to feel. So I think one of the things is that it's very important to be kind and soft in you, because the anger and the greed and the ignorance makes our heart very hard. And when it's hard, it's really difficult to take in more emotion. And that stops us from feeling feeling empathetic, feeling empathy toward others. And I think that's very bad. So I think one of the things is, how do we get rid of that is also very important. Okay, so that's just something that came to my mind. So thank you for this this circle, these 5 words. I'll keep them to mind and hopefully always remembering the mindfulness, understanding, forgiving, gratefulness, and then the wisdom. Thank you, Brother David. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Joe. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Brother David. Now I know you much better after this.
Okay.
All right, I would like to call upon the next sharer, which is Sister Minli. Sister Minli, would you take control of the screen? Yes. Share screen with us. Yeah, okay. Yeah, Sister Minli. How to describe Sister Minli? Sister Minli is a very effervescent lady, full of energy, very spirited. Her first contact with Tzu Chi was to follow Mum to do recycling work in 2019, but then she has been a donor to Tzu Chi since 2006. Sister Minli is a people-oriented personality with a very natural flair for languages. She's the only girl I know who speaks 3 languages in 1 sentence. So that's why you can understand why she's so people-oriented. And it is exactly this trait that allows her to be very broad-minded. And then she's able to connect the Dharma with her Christian faith. Today, Sister Minli wants to share episode 706, Wearing Poverty and Illness as Garment. Yeah. Is the stanza with you, Sister Minli? There are two kinds of illnesses, body and mind. The next. Illnesses of mind from internal suffering and afflictions. And our minds give rise to afflictions, ignorance, and delusions, which lead us to create karma. Over to you, Sister Minli.
Sister, you are muted.
Minli? Sister Minli, you have to unmute yourself.
Yes, but the button seems like it doesn't work.
Oh, is it?
Okay, good evening, Brother Joe. Thank you, Sister Moon. Good evening, everyone. Actually, seeing this illness is actually deepen what about worldly life as a lay people. Example like fall ill. Okay, falling ill, it comes to my mind is actually a natural aging of our body. Then another situation is natural aging of our body's organ. This is one of the care recipients in my district. The one that actually talked to her is my Toifu, the person who lead me into Ta'ai Mama. Okay, actually our body seasons over time. It's very hard to sustain and to preserve. So come to my mind is a sketch by Apan, like consume lives through our mouth, you know, the desire. So that's when I think that maybe the illness caused by ghosts and spirits, that's when the sign of mental disorder. So when the karma ripen, delusion actually start. So it will become our karmic hindrance of illness. So in this episode, Sangren mentioned about the four imbalances. First is actually about earth, bone. See that the earth element imbalances. This is also what I grabbed from the eye channel. Then this is about water. You can see the stomach bloating. Then this is actually fire, temperature, the inflammation on the wrist and the fingers, can see swollen. And lastly, this is my leads, my Muji, one of the care recipient case. That time, I'm just a new volunteer. I grabbed the picture from her to share with you all. This is about air element imbalances. So our life is actually composed of 4 elements plus the consciousness. So Buddhism believe in reincarnation and rebirth. So in Buddhism, a person's destiny is how decide the behavior reflection on how he treats other beings. So when it comes to poverty, impoverish as a sign of deterioration. This is the sharing when I involve of ALC, Alternative Learning Center. So you see those children. Another case, come to poverty, I think they actually deny the law of karma, that they don't believe in karma, and They slander the truth, yet they think as majestic. So denial of filthy and displeasing appearances. So when I see all this explanation, 4 words that come to my mind is ignorance, precept, deviation, and repudiations. So actually relate to 4 of this explanation. So next slide. We came naked, we also leave naked. We arrive weak, so weak we will depart. We came without money and things, we leave without money and things. Our first bath, someone washed us away. Our last bath, someone will wash us away. It's our fate as humans. So why so much of pride, so much of malice, so much of envy, and so much of hate, so much of resentment, and so much of selfishness? So we have to limit ourselves, because we have limited time in this world and we have wasted it in uselessness. How to eliminate? That come to my mind is make vows, accept teaching, listens to Dharma, do as Dharma, walk upon Dharma, uphold the Dharma, and spread the Dharma. This is all encompassing wisdom. Stay fast on the path and walks on it. I like the sketch by Apan, 佛心师之. Sangren mentioned 大百牛车, the great ox cart. And every time early in the morning when we're using our phones, we're having this situation is we clean our phone, but not the heart. Very easy. We just have to be happy in giving. By simply just do it. Okay, all the imbalances, despite the imbalances, Sangren is the mastermind. She has the vision, and Tzu Chi people guided by master vision. Tzu Chi main 4 vision. Mission is actually 四大志业. Come to this harmony, mutual support and assist. 和和互协. Then come to accomplish matter, people, and principle. 是人理缘. See, all the pieces in our brain that we put together is like the pieces we have in our mind. I the Peiban. You see, from the stomach that's so big just now that I share, after the care by all Tzu Chi person that actually accompany her, she actually relieved from the suffering. This morning, I captured a quote from Brother Chin. Thank you to fill in the missing piece. Serve what we know what we serve, with gratitude, humbleness, and great passion. So take every day to grow tall as tree, take a second to attend contemplation, take kalpas to grow inner wisdom. So the choice is yours. Have a gratitude heart and mind at ease all condition. Even we are the smallest, as you can see. Smallest, we can go through the pole with the golden cord. Actually, we do move the world. to connect the string up might take a lot of effort. It's just nice and it's great because we are in the best condition going through it, but not under it, not above it. Leads to every open heart of compassion. So looking at this picture, we always at bliss.感恩.
Thank you, Sister Minli. Wonderful illustration of all the concepts of suffering. Yeah. What do you think, Brother Joe?
Hey, Sister Minli, thank you. I've heard you share before. It's also always very enlightening. You mentioned, I think there was one part you mentioned about we come and go naked, right? And we arrive and depart without money and things. I think that was a very true realization. And it's also very, very direct. You talked about the 4 imbalances. I think it is true that we come and go naked and we come and go without all these things. But it's also important what we do after we come and before we go, right? So the 4 imbalances or the 4 balances are what constitute what we do within the coming and the going, right? So, and I think the 4 imbalances, I think the four parts, we're all each made up of all these 4 parts as you mentioned, and it just comes with different portions. For example, as male, we not probably, but we should have more testosterone as the hormone, and women will have estrogen. So on some level, testosterone in our body causes our look and our physical appearances to be different. And I think that's also part of the balance as well. What I'm trying to say is we're all part of these 4, and we're just, small adjustments, right? The 4 levers for us to adjust. And what is considered to be balance and imbalance is, I guess, from the results, the consequences. If we come out to be sick, or as your picture that you mentioned, I think you had a picture of the water imbalance and also the air and the earth. When that happens, it's imbalance. But I also wanted to point out that we all have different balances, right? For example, for you might like hotter air, but I might like colder air. So our balances are actually different. You have your preferences. I have my own preferences. You have your meter for what's constituted to be healthy. I have my own meter for what is considered to be healthy. So even though we all have these 4 elements, the 4 elements are all the same, and they all need to reach some kind of balance, but your balance is different from my balance. And the trick is, how do you find that balance when we all share different balances? How do you find yours? That's the first part. Then how do you help me find mine? And I think that's what Buddhism is talking about, is that I found my balance, but I can't tell you because my balance is different from your balance, but I can share with you how I can find mine. And that's where your last slide comes out, which is the vows and the accept, right? So that's what Master is teaching us, that even though we have all these different balances, that your balance to be healthy is different from mine. But you told me how you get to be healthy, and maybe other people who are listening to you will also follow the same path, and then they will reach their own balance as well. It might not be the same as your 60-40, it could be 35-65, but at the very end, you will help them find that balance. And I think that's what Buddhism is trying to teach us. So Master teaches us the ways, like what you mentioned, right? Vows, accept, listening to Dharma, uphold and spread the Dharma, and then at the end, just do it. So all these are pathway. all these are tools. They're not, like a particular do this, get this, but rather do this and you will get what you need. So I think that's a very that's something that coming from the sequence of your slides, and I got what I got from this. So thank you, Sister Minli. It's always listening to you share. You're very scientific, and you're very logical in your way of sharing. Very logical. So you can take us along for this ride to understand the flow. So thank you, Sister Minli. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Sister Minli. What did I say? She's very spirited, but can be also very contemplative at times. Yeah. Our last sharer for tonight is none other than Brother Chin. I don't think Brother Chin needs introduction. To those of us who are in the English group Sing Fa Siang in Malaysia. I have known Brother Chin for quite a while. We actually share the same school. We live in the same area, we can wave to each other from our balconies. Brother Chin came to Tzu Chi with quite a highly spiritual practice. And the reason why he find Tzu Chi that is so suitable for him is that in expanding his practice, Tzu Chi has the right platform for him to go among the masses, to do and to serve. Brother Chin's spiritual connection actually goes back to when he was 17 years old. And if you want to know the story, we'll have another session. Right. So I would, today, Brother Chin will share with you on a single slide. Brother Chin?
Well, would you like to put up the slide?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, Sister Moon, she should be my marketing manager.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, okay.
Okay, you need to put into slide mode, Sister Moon. So the I thought you were going to read the stanza, but never mind.
Sorry.
That's not my slide, but never mind. While you're searching for that slide, the episode is very much about the planting of good roots through giving. So most of the things that I'll be talking about, because in interest of time, I know it's 8:54 right now. You're going to end at 9 o'clock, so I need to leave Brother Joe some time to share. The Masters talked about planting good roots of giving. The struggle I think a lot of us have living in samsara, and especially for us as householders, we have undeveloped minds, and the undeveloped mind is controlled related to very important samsara gravities, if you like. One is desire, the other one is emotion. And because of this, we tend to grasp on to a lot of things, the way we live in our worldly ways. So we would kind of do whatever we like. So because of this, the undeveloped mind tends to be not as forgiving. And because we try to grasp on to our ways, so it's when one has then developed the mind, we tend to be more forgiving because one then have a reason in the consciousness above others. But when one get into spiritual cultivation, people tend to expect what I'm going to get out of spiritual cultivation. So that I think that is where the threshold of crossing over from being an early life and into a spiritual practice. It's where one tend to say, what I'm going to get out from the spiritual cultivation, but then suddenly you realize that actually there's a giving away. And that is what key master's message is about. One is expecting to get something out of the spiritual practice, there's none. But if you realize that a tamer is giving away, that's plenty. And that's paradox. So and this is the part that when someone say, look, I don't have anything that I can afford to give, so I'm going to give a smile. A smile actually is a gift of humanity, and it spreads the boundless love of mankind. So, and that smile transcends all languages and all boundaries, and that's just a simple smile. And that is the first thing that's very easy to learn how to give. And the other thing is about we tend to cling on to our life, we tend to grasp on to the way that our life is, and so that we tend to a lot of complaints. But Master say, every person is a sutra. Even our own life is therefore is a sutra. So that is a sutra which is written personally for us, and that is for us to realize what that teaching is in our life. Then we begin to understand that what giving is about and what generosity is. So we start by giving what we can afford. We cannot afford to start giving a smile, and that gradually realize to practice what you can to give what you cannot afford. So what is it that you cannot afford? Can you give your life, for example? Giving your life to be in practice. And it's about letting your life flows. So it was interesting that it was one of the a book sharing session, and it was this question that was posed about giving, and the question was, does giving dissolve greed? And I thought that was an interesting question, because if the answer is yes, then one can donate one way to perfection of generosity in the 6 parameters. If that is so simple. But so therefore, giving is not about giving what you can afford or what you have. And it's just giving the whole life to cultivation. It's giving the whole life to the practice. And that is the perfection of the parameter. And it's about virtue of losing oneself by letting go of grasping and clinging on in our life. So we live the life of giving. We live in practice. It's about letting go of our attachments and afflictions. Give what you can afford, give what you cannot afford, and give your life to be in practice. So when we give our life in practice, if we have a long life, we'll give our long life. If we have a good life, we'll give a good life, all for the benefit of others. And that's what Bodhisattva path is about. But only a realized mind is prepared to do this. And the other thing about in our worldly life is our relationships. You see, our relationship is founded upon a matter. And the matter could be a friendship because it's convenient to have a friend. For example, Sister Moon just lives across my house as friendship. And I know that I call on her, it's very convenient to do so. And sometimes we have relationship because that person is useful to us. Or because he's our colleague, because of work, because of fun, because of influence, because of power, etc. But all this relationship, all this friendship is premised upon a matter. And Master say, a matter arises and it will cease. So when that matter ceases, that relationship will also cease. So therefore, one of the things that we should cultivate, therefore, in this practice is to grow in spiritual friends, because spiritual friends is founded upon giving, and that giving of the Dharma, and Dharma doesn't cease, and that's where the spiritual friends are. So that is why affinities last beyond this life and go on life after life. It's between worldly relationship and spiritual relationship. So therefore, let me end by saying this. The virtue of giving is actually a very precious virtue. So do not expect it from cheap people. So, Kanan, thank you. Exactly 9 o'clock.
Okay, thank you, Brother Chin. Always very profound. Takes a while, and thanks for Stephanie to type up the verbatim, the real-time transcript, so that I could, if I didn't hear something, I could at least go into the writings and to find out what was said, because it was sometimes, you know, you just go into what was said and then you sort of didn't catch what was said next. So that was good. I wanted to get into, I probably can't get into too many of these things. It's a little bit deeper for me, and also the time as well. But I think some of very good questions were raised, right? So it was including give what you can afford and give what you can't afford. And I think that's a very deep question that I think we could always ask. And Brother Chin talked about giving a smile, and that's something that we can afford. And I want to switch that question rather than to say something that you can afford. Why did the person didn't realize? Why didn't the person realize that a smile is something that they could afford? And that goes back into that we have it in us. We just didn't know. So when you didn't know, it's also something that you can afford. So smile is also something that you can afford and something you can't afford, because if you didn't know it, you can't afford it. And to go furthermore, I think it's even more than that, right? Can you give something that you have? Can you give something that you had? Can you give something that you don't have yet, but you will have? And I think it also goes into time, right? It goes into past, present, and future. And then can you give something that you already know? Can you give something that you don't know? For example, an answer. Can you give an answer that you already know? That would be easy. But can you give something that you don't know? That would be like a promise. I promise I'll find it with you. And all these are considered giving. Different types of magnitude, but I think it differs in the attitude. Just like towards the end, when Brother Chin talks about you're giving your whole life. That's an attitude. I don't think it's something like, oh, I'm gonna give my life, but it's an attitude, it's a vow. It's something that you know you can't just say, oh, here's my life, take it. But rather, it's a vow, it's an attitude, it's a mentality. And that's what this giving is transforming into. If it's something that you can take out, then that's the beginning part. It transforms into something that is no longer something you can just take out. It's something that becomes an attitude, a mind. It becomes an idea, a concept, something that you're willing. It becomes something that you will give, but you can't give at this time. And I think that's a very, very interesting take on the word giving. And I do hope that, and I do believe that after today, maybe when we see the word giving or 布施, we will not see so, just see, oh, it's the beginning. That's like the first thing. No, it's not. It's actually much deeper than that. And it could be deeper than that if you give it more time or more thoughts, more attitude about what you're giving. So thanks, Brother Chin. I think it's very, very good and great to cap tonight, so everybody can think about it and lose their sleep over it, because now your brain is, spinning so fast that I wonder how everybody can sleep. But I will say this. Sister Moon's voice, it is so calming and soothing. Perhaps right now, if you end this session with your calming and soothing voice, we could all just be able to stop thinking about this and sleep well tonight. So thank you. Thank you. This is a perfect team coming to a perfect end. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Brother Chin and Brother Joe, for leaving us with such a wonderful topic for contemplation, as we say. I hope that we can leave this session with a very, how do I say, and with new understanding. And also, it is incredible, but we have to thank Brother Joe again, for your guidance in bridging Master to us, bringing us closer to Master, even though there is such a big distance. But through you, it closes that gap between us and Master. Thank you very much every time for taking the effort to be with us. Yeah, 很感恩, 很感恩. I would like to pass the thing back to Sister Tzu Chi. Yeah, over to you, Sister Tzu Chi.
Please unshare so that we can have a picture later on. Unshare.
Okay, let's take a picture while we end this session.感恩, wonderful, wonderful. Truly, wow.感恩, Brother Joe, for making it for us despite the very, very, very tight schedule and the difficult time at Hualien. We understand. Gratitude for bringing this great gift of wisdom despite all these difficulties. Our hearts with Hualien during this tough time. Our dedications of daily merits from the daily prayers by all the brothers and sisters. May there be less suffering and peace prevails. Tonight, trust that everyone enjoys the session as much as I do. Truly wonderful insights, right? And with Sister Moon's splendid hosting and the team, wow, courageous Sister Boey. Sister Boey, you really can do it. Okay, next time we hope to hear more from Sister Boey. Our very kind brother David, contemplative Sister Minli, highly spiritual brother Chin, and of course bringing us all to the moon. Okay, the picture, how liao or we want to do special sign? Okay, taken already. Thank you, brothers and sisters, for your presence and great support today. Despite the very last minute notice, everyone could still join us. Very grateful to that. Hope that each of us could sustain the Dharma joy and take in another piece of Dharma Master and Hualien love to our life. Let us invite Brother Joe to lead us in paying homage. Let us please make 3 bows to the Buddha and Dharma Master as we depart to apply these teachings in our daily life. Let us pay our respects to our teachers of life, universal truth. First bow. Second bow. And third bow.感恩everyone. See everyone tomorrow morning with De Huang Sifu and Brother Bao Ru and Sister Li San. See everyone. 感恩 Sister Stephanie for the great transcript. 感恩, wonderful.
Hey, good night.
Good night, everyone. Good night.